Lock in all sports, all plays, all 5% best bets for the next 30 days from your favorite WagerTalk handicapper for only $1.99 versus the regular price of $3.49 for a total savings of $1.50. Prices are already discounted across the board and no coupon is required. Just head over to WagerTalk.com, pick your favorite handicapper in the experts menu, and lock them in for 30 days across all sports for only $1.99.
All right, guys, welcome in. Happy Wednesday. Yes, happy Wednesday here. Time for another edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show, of course, powered by WagerTalk.com. Loaded card here in the NBA, the association tonight. We're going to do our customary four-game breakdown for you here with a couple of best bets sprinkled on top. We're going to take a look at a few good ones here tonight, including the Nets taking on the Sixers tonight. San Antonio, Toronto. We got the Miami Heat, the Denver Nuggets. And, of course, it wouldn't be an NBA tip-off show without some sort of Wizards and Sacramento Kings talk coming your way. But we got a treat for you today. Three heavy hitters getting ready to break down the NBA for you here. Let's welcome him in. Our good friend, the Godfather. There he is, Teddy Covers, back in action for you at the top there. Look at the guy in the middle today. We know him, Ralph Michaels in the house. And, of course, hitting cleanup, the one and only Mr. Rob Vino. Gentlemen, welcome in. Great card here tonight. Ton of games across the board here. Looking forward to breaking them down for you. So, Teddy, I'll start with you, my friend. With a busy night like tonight, what do you got going on in the NBA or at sportsmemo.com as well?
Well, unfortunately, my 5% play yesterday came up a point short with Portland at the very end, although the three at the buzzer, which sent the game over the total, made the final a little bit closer. Really frustrating game. We'll give the Celtics credit. So for today's card, just a single play in the association tonight. I've got one in MLB as well. So looking for the 2-0 Wednesday sweep, 68% across sports here in the month of April.
Yeah, no, it was that was a tough game there last night, Celtics and Portland. But love the card here tonight. Way to get back at it. What we love about this. And Ralph Michaels, my goodness, you're all over the board here, Ralph. I see you winning games, MLB, NHL, NBA. Welcome in, my friend. What do you got going on at WagerTalk.com?
I've got a 3-pack. I actually have a 5% NBA play. So, yeah, my top NBA play, top baseball play, top NHL play, all 3-1 package for $39, 77% run, 68% run on plays rated 4% or higher the last 40 days. Been a great start to the 2021 year.
Yeah, I was having a hard time hearing you over all the money being counted there, Ralph. Very nice, my friend. Rob, welcome in, my man. Always a pleasure to see you. Talk to me, man. What do you got going on tonight at WagerTalk.com?
Yeah, NBA is up and available right now, Joe. 3 plays in the NBA tonight. We'll sit on that 5:30 injury report and possibly have another. This NBA is so crazy with who's in and who's out. Last night, they hit you with a couple of bombs in one certain game right before tip-off. But 3 available right now where we're pretty sure of who's going to be on the floor. So you can pick those up, WagerTalk.com.
All right then, guys. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to start here with our Contrarian game and play of the day. And we're going to look at a game in which the market is clearly telling us who they like here and which way they're going. That, of course, being the San Antonio Spurs taking on the Toronto Raptors here. Now, this opened up somewhere around that, 2.5, and it shot up to 5.5 rather quickly. No Kyle Lowry. We know that. So the Raptors now getting 5.5 points in Tampa Bay, a home game for them. They valiant effort last night, came up a little bit short for the Raptors here, Teddy. But again, a tough team to get a read on. They have been all year. They look terrible, then they look great. And what are you anticipating from them tonight? Do you agree with the market move?
Yeah, I agree with the market move. Again, we talked about the Raptors yesterday at the top of the show as a contrarian play in Atlanta. And we said, all right, there's been a big line move, but the line move is justified given what's going on in Toronto. Now, here's a Raptors team again. They made an effort in the second half of that game to make things interesting. But at no point, if you had a Hawks ticket in that game, were you concerned? Atlanta was the right side wire to wire. And it's not just Lowry out. It's not just Van Vliet out. It's Gary Trent Jr. out tonight as well. He's been an enormous impact player for Toronto. So you have a team that's been playing for championships that's now playing for ping pong balls. They're what, like 4-15, and they're 5-16. Their last 21 since the beginning of March, and with an ATS record that corresponds pretty closely with that. Raptors are a one-way team, and the markets have been slow reacting. Spurs are pass for this better. I want no part of the contrarian play today.
All right, not looking Toronto's way, Ralph Michaels. What about you? I'm not even going to bring up Malachi Flynn there, Teddy. We already talked about him last week. But Ralph, talk to me. Tell me what you think of this game tonight.
I'm with Teddy. It's Spurs for me, and I think the line is justified, and I think the line is fine where it is. You have to remember, the Spurs are the youngest team in the NBA, 25 years old, average age. So you got Pop coaching them, and what's going to happen with Pop coaching a lot of young kids? They're going to get better as the season progresses. Look at the road trip. They go to Denver and they play back-to-back games. Second game they lose by 2. They go to Dallas. They upset Dallas as a 6-point dog. They go to Orlando. They only play their starters 3 quarters, so they have a day and a half off. Your starters are rested because they only played 3 quarters 2 days ago. You have Toronto with no rest coming off a game. The Toronto Raptors are 1-11 straight up, 2-10 ATS with no rest. To me, no issues with the line move. It's the Spurs.
Going the Spurs. All right, Vino, what do you think here? DeMar DeRozan drops 50 on his old teammates. What do you think here? If there's anybody left?
Yeah, he probably doesn't drop 50 as long as Greg Popovich is the head coach. They'll spread it out a little bit. But it's interesting with this team, Joe, when you want to play against San Antonio, you want to play a good team that has a big man. It's a small basketball team, and they've, sort of converted to small ball. And 6 of their last 7 have gone over the total fairly easily. I mean, one had overtime in it. But still, it would have made it over the total without the overtime. So it's a team that's playing real well. As Ralph mentioned, it's a road trip. It's the 5th game in 8, but the rest between their last game and this game is helpful. And Toronto can't really take advantage of the middle. Chris Boucher is a nice player, but I don't think that he would explode against this team. And I'm going to agree with Teddy. I haven't talked much about Toronto. We haven't had them on the days when I've been on this show, but I thought as of like 3 weeks ago, there was just some noticeable, you never want to use the word tanking, but in the NBA, I mean, either you want to win or you want to lose. And there were some funny results where San Antonio was winning after 3.5 quarters and then mysteriously loses the game somehow, some way against lesser competition. Last night, and they've got their own injuries as well, but Atlanta's playing with nobody last night. And give Atlanta credit because now they've won 2 straight games with a really backup lineup. But Toronto just doesn't seem to me to be interested in winning games here. So the number has run all the way to 5.5, but I can't see any reason to play it any other way. San Antonio right now is playing for playoff positioning. The other side is not. So motivated team, unmotivated team, I would have to lean San Antonio.
Spurs just 1 game behind the Grizzlies for that number 8 spot, and back-to-back games this year. We're looking at the Raptors just 3-9 against the number. So that is the contrarian game here tonight, guys, as the Spurs in Tampa taking on the Toronto Raptors. Seems to be a clean sweep. There's only one way to can look, and that being towards the Spurs. We're going to look towards Philadelphia because big matchup here tonight between the Nets and the Sixers. Well, everybody was playing, but we know that to be not true here as the Brooklyn Nets taking on the Sixers opened up at a 6.5 number. It looks like we've got 8s, 9s. I'm even seeing 8.5. We're all across the board here as they continue to rise. 225.5 as that total came down from opening, and I I got to imagine, Ralph, a lot of this line movement, of course, we know Kyrie's a go, but pretty much everybody else on Brooklyn out. No Durant, rest on a back-to-back. Harden's still hurt, but it appears that Kyrie will play. Is that enough for you to even consider backing the Nets here?
Well, it's getting there with the line move again tonight. No Aldridge, no Durant, no Griffin, no Harden. It was refreshing to listen to Nash after the game last night, because the Brooklyn head coach said, this game was supposed to be scheduled in Minnesota. The strife there made it get delayed. And he said, yeah, it's a huge deal. We got screwed having to play back-to-back road games with the game getting scheduled now. This game is for first place. They split their first two games, so this could go a long way into playoff seeding, who has the edge moving forward. But, let's remember this. On January 7th, the Harden trade wasn't completed yet. They didn't have Durant. They didn't have Kyrie. And they still won by 15 points over Philadelphia. So they have something about them. This Brooklyn Nets team, last night, you had two new starters. Claxton started his first game, and CeCe started his first game. Those were the 17th and 18th players to start a game for the Brooklyn Nets. 18 players. I remember the days where 8 guys made starts in the NBA. You had a bench of 11. 8 or 9 guys maybe made a start the entire season. So to start 18 games, it shows you what a mishmash season they've had to have. I look at what they've done. I look at what they've done. I looked at what Philly's done. This line that's climbing the way it is. I would not be betting Philly 9 or 9.5 against this Brooklyn team. Now, we're still talking about Cheesy missed the last game, so we don't know if he played. He started in the first half against Minnesota, missed the second half. He's still up in the air, so you really could be minus 5 starters. But with that said, I can't get to the Philly side at this price. Brooklyn's been a mishmash team all season. They've kept it close in these games. So no play for me. I had to make a lean. I would take this very, very light bench tonight and Brooklyn.
This is the first game back, I believe, home from a 6-game trip there, Rob Vino. But it's not the end of the world if Brooklyn doesn't win this game, so it doesn't nearly mean as much as maybe Philadelphia wanting to get back at him. But do you trust just Kyrie being in this lineup for Brooklyn here? But you'd be getting an awful lot of points right now.
Well, I'm going to speak to this game, Joe, from the totals perspective, and I'll sit on the contrarian side of this. This game's pushed from 232 all the way down to 225.5. You subtract the players that Brooklyn will be out tonight or without tonight in this game, and then you go back to February 6th, and the 8 guys that the Nets will have in this rotation in some way, shape, or form: Jeff Green, Luwawu Cabarrot, Claxton, Harris, Irving, Shamet, Bruce Brown, and DeAndre Jordan. Those are the 8 bodies tonight. Those 8 guys played in the game on February 6th, and the game hit 232 points. Again, the Nets only had 1 star in that game. That star happened to be James Harden. It wasn't Kyrie. There's your difference. Tyler Johnson played in that game, contributed 4 points, won't play tonight. Chris Chorizo contributed 4 points in that game, won't play tonight. But still, that game hit 232 points with the same 8 players you're going to get in this game tonight. You go back to January 7th, as Ralph mentioned, James Harden is not even on the team. In fact, Karis LeVert is still on this team, and that thing still hit 231. I think the key is Philadelphia's been healthy for both, so they've been able to score at will. One game, they did not have Seth Curry. I believe that was the earliest game. They'll have him tonight. For the Nets, if you're going to play this team, you can't necessarily play them half court. You're going to have to run a little bit. Philadelphia doesn't mind tempo, so I like that. I just think when you have 2 games with the same group of players, and let me say this too, because in both of those games I mentioned earlier, people bet the total down. Just like today, the first one went from 224 to 222.5. Game sales over. Next one goes from 237.5 to 233.5, stays a 1.5 under, but we're not looking at 233.5 tonight. We're looking at 225.5. I would have to believe over is probably a good way to go at this price. I wonder, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Kyrie Irving, from everything I read, was observing Ramadan. And the only factor that might come into play here is I don't know how long a guy can go when he's been fasting. I mean, I don't think he would play if he wasn't able to play minutes. That would be the only concern, only thing that would stop me at this price from playing over 225.5.
All right, a little over 225.5 for Rob Vino. Teddy, we all year long, we have looked at games on the card from a contrarian spot and said the market just overreacts to everything. Has it overreacted in this game? Is there some value on this Brooklyn squad tonight? 8.5, 9 points.
Real quick first, there have been two major injury news that have been announced in the last 5 minutes I want to give out. Giannis is out for Milwaukee tonight. The money's going to pour in on Minnesota shortly, if it hasn't done so already. And for Miami, Dragic out, Butler now downgraded to questionable for this evening. So expect to see a fair bit of Denver Nuggets money in the next few minutes. If you want to get involved with either of those two games, I'd make your bets right now. That info just came out. That's why you watch the NBA tip-off show. When it comes to Philly and Brooklyn, I'm confident Philly's taking this game real seriously. Joel Embiid, quote, I think it's more than a regular season game. There's a number one seed in play. We got a tiebreaker that we need, We might have the same record at the end of the season, so having that tiebreaker is important for us. We really want that number one seed. When you read the quotes out of Brooklyn, I'm not getting any sense of that. Steve Nash, it feels to me is and again, you want to read between the lines on some of this stuff. Philly didn't see Brooklyn first strength in the first meeting. They didn't see Brooklyn full strength in the second meeting. And they're not going to see anything resembling Brooklyn full strength in this meeting. And I think there's some intent there for Steve Nash and company. The Nets much more worried about being healthy than they are about winning the number one seed. Philly much more worried about winning the number one seed than any other factor, and they're already healthy right now. The money coming in, and again, I like to play at 6.5 this morning. At 9, I'm not going to tell anyone to get on an NBA play after you missed 2.5 point line move that you could have had earlier in the day, widely available, with all the info already out. So the line's already gone. If you like Philly, you missed it. Find another opportunity, but the Sixers are the only way I can look in this game.
Nets own 5, their last 5 on the road in Philly, and I think Rob spot on. It's not as if the 8 guys remaining aren't used to playing with just each other. Since when do they ever play with the big 3 anyway all season long? All right, let's go. We got another featured game here, and Teddy just told you some of the news coming out for the Miami Heat as they're taking on the Denver Nuggets. Dragic is out. Butler kind of twisted his ankle there for got himself out of that game last night against Phoenix. Did return to it, but still remains questionable here. Nuggets open up as a 3.5 point favorite. I am seeing 5.5s now, even 6s. Yep, 6s. I'm also seeing a total dropping down. 209 appears to be where a number of shops are. So, Rob Vino, I'll come to you first here, my friend. The Miami Heat, great spot for them last night. Didn't work out well for them here, but how much does Dragic affect your ability to back them here tonight, not being in the game?
Yeah, he's as key as it gets to how that team goes, right, Joe? Especially offensively. So Goran Dragic, we know when he doesn't play, it's a different team. If Jimmy Butler doesn't play, obviously it's a really different team. For the Denver Nuggets, without Jamal Murray, you're a different team. But let's say this, before the Jamal Murray injury the other night in the last 57 seconds of the game, a meaningless, game that they were going to lose anyway, and non-contact injury takes him out for the season. Prior to his return against Golden State the other night, Denver had played the 4 previous games without him. Kind of a mixed bag of results. They were 3-1 straight up without Jamal Murray. They did go 2-2 against the spread. They went 2-2 over under-wise. So it's hard to really take anything from that other than the fact that just recently they've played without this guy in 1 games. So I would imagine they just go right back to what they were doing 5 days ago and start playing again. The Miami Heat in this situation, I think that the Victor Oladipo injury, Joe, I think we talked about this on Monday, but prior to Oladipo going down, he had just come back for 4 games himself, or 5 games, and the Miami offense in the last 4 really started to take off and look like the Miami offense of last year. They scored 116, 115, 112, 110. It's important because prior to that, it's one of the slowest paced teams in the league. They're playing grind out games for half, 2/3 of the season. And it was done by design by head coach Eric Spoelstra because there's been so many injuries and absences throughout the season for this team. So when they got Oladipo back and they got whole again, it looked really good offensively. Since he went down, it's looked really bad again, and it's looked slow. Their last 2 games, just to put it into perspective, total field goal attempts in those 2 games were 160 and 164. In NBA terms, those are low. And they're going to try and slow this thing down. Denver's already the 2nd slowest paced team in the NBA. I'm sure they'll turn to defense and Jokic and their front line now without Murray. The total had already come down a little bit. We're looking at 209 now, but I still don't think that's unbettable, guys. I think that under 209 can still be had here. Both teams, game will be played at a crawl pace. They would have to make better than 50% of the shots taken here tonight to get up and over this number, in my opinion. So I'd still look under 209 in this game.
Under 209 for Rob Vino. Miami taking on Denver. Teddy, it's still a game of matchups, right? You got Bam going up against Jokic. Never an easy situation there. If Jimmy Butler goes tonight, he too is going to be another defender that Michael Porter Jr. is going to have to deal with. So who do you like from a matchup perspective here? Do you like Miami's chances here getting 5.5, 6?
So I don't play the Heat without Dragic in the lineup. Okay. We talk about one guy who affects the team on the floor far more than his point spread impact. That's Goran Dragic. You know, he's an absolute spark plug for that team. And when he's rolling, Miami's good. And when he's not rolling, Miami's bad. And Dragic's not in the lineup tonight. And I'm not worried about Oladipo, and I'm really not that worried about the second of back-to-backs. The only one, Adebayo had 33 minutes last night. Spoelstra emptied his bench pretty early in that loss. But Miami's not a step-up in class team. And the numbers pretty good. You talk about the matchups on the floor. I think they're problematic matchups for Miami all over the place in this game. Bam and Joker, okay. It's not a nightmare, but it's a Heat team that's 5-10 ATS on the season as underdogs of 7 or less. This hasn't been their role. Second of back-to-backs, they may be against a team that just lost their point guard. It is a step-up game for Denver. And I know that, it's not easy to get to the window with the Nuggets. Let's not forget, at the trade deadline, they traded away Gary Harris, and they traded away the rookie Hampton, the young point guard RJ Hampton, which was basically their backcourt depth. And now with Murray out, it's not an optimal situation for Denver. But as Rob was talking about, the Nuggets have played without Murray. They played without everyone this year, found ways to win. It's Denver a pass for me, but obviously the market's already there. We've seen this number move significantly already this morning, and you don't want to be on the wrong end of these line moves. You could have laid 4 and you're laying 6.5. That's not a long-term strategy to beat the NBA.
So, Ralph, we've got a Denver team, 18-10 at home this season at the Pepsi Center, just 12-16 against the number. In fact, the first meeting, we got 191 points between these two teams. You looking side? Are you looking total in this matchup? How do you see it?
Well, Teddy had mentioned Miami back-to-back. I will say this, going to the database, they are 5-3, the second of back-to-backs. Although I don't have an opinion on the side, I had to go to the database to look this up because I've seen so many people. How many times do we hear, oh, you're playing Denver with no rest, or you're playing Utah with no rest, and oh, the altitude. Let me tell you that the Denver Nuggets over the last 3 seasons, when they are hosting an opponent that has no rest, is 9-10 ATS. They are under 500. So the no rest playing at altitude in Denver does not work. That is not a reason to play on a team. It is not a reason to play against the team. It is, again, 9-10 ATS the last. What I am going to look for is the total. You look at Denver, their last 10, they're 4-6 over under. And in the 4 overs, they shot 54, 49.5, 59, and 54. Rob talked about, hey, if it's going to get over the total, someone's got to shoot 50%. Well, you look at Miami, their last 11 games, only one team has shot over 50% against this Heat. And I'm certainly leaning under. One of the most amazing stats is, I tweeted it out this morning, in fact, the Miami Heat on the road, their last 5 games at home have gone over the total. Their last 11 games on the road, they are 0-10-1 over under. But that's not the impressive stat. Those 11 games on the road have gone under by 21.1 points per game. You have an 11-game sample size, and you are going under by 21 points per game on the road. Only one way for me to go under the total.
All right, looking to go under there. They usually turn up the heat there, certainly defensively off a loss and on the road. So Miami-Denver here tonight, guys. 10 Eastern time tip-off for that one. That leaves us one more overtime game. But before we get there, I do want to just remind you guys, all 3 of these gentlemen, Teddy, Ralph, and Rob Vino, locked and loaded for tonight. Best bets are up and ready to go at WagerTalk.com. Loaded card in the association, NHL, MLB, all ready to go tonight, guys. Visit them right now at WagerTalk.com. Go to Teddy's page, of course, Ralph's page, and Rob Vino's page. Let's make it a profitable Wednesday here. All right, let's head to our overtime matchup. Who else? Are we kidding here? We're talking Sacramento Kings, Washington Wizards. My goodness. The number opened up at 280. It's now 290. No, I'm only kidding. It should have opened up at 280. 236.5. It's been shot up to 242 in a number of places. I believe we still are questionable about Buddy Hield. It's been a rough go for the Sacramento Kings here. And Teddy, I'm going to come back to you on this one. It almost seems kind of ridiculous, right? I mean, is it over or not with these 2 teams, especially the way Washington is playing right now, or do you think there might be some value to the under here?
It's not a total I'm going to play because I don't think I'm willing to play these 2 teams under the total. And yet, you look at every recent meeting, they're 6-1 to the under the last 7 times they played. They got to 240 when they met last month, and the game cashed under tickets, just like tonight's game would cash under tickets if they get to 240, 121, 119. So you expect the pace to be there. And when you talk about impact injuries that may not be fully reflected in the number, Rashawn Holmes is without him in the lineup, Sacramento's low post defense goes from slim to none, and their pace is even faster. So Holmes being on, I think he's doubtful tonight or questionable. He's not officially ruled out yet, but that's the injury I would pay most attention to between now and tip-off if I wanted to bet this game over the total. It's just a little bit too rich for me. I'm not playing it under, and the Wiz have been cashing under tickets lately. You know, it's not like the Washington playing over. Washington's cashed more under. What are they? I got them 6-2, 6-3 to the under their last 9. And Sacramento's not that far behind cashing under tickets of late. So it's not like these 2 teams have been flying over the total night in, night out. I'm not playing the under. No way I want the under in this, but the total's too high to get me on the over. So I'm Switzerland, unfortunately, for this one.
Well, I mean, and by the way, he's only missed 4 games, Rashawn Holmes, this year for Sacramento, and they've lost each of those by a minimum of 8 points. So it's not been good when he's listed as doubtful to hamstring issues. So keep an eye on that. But Ralph, what do you do here? What is it, 7 straight now they've lost here, Sacramento? Washington, last game, I believe, on their trip. Tired legs. Over or not for you in this one?
Well, the thing that is different here is that, the line shows us it may be a competitive game. I mean, it was one and now it's two. So, I went to the database and I will say this. NBA totals in the history of my database. So 21 years, there have only been 37 NBA games with a total of 141 and a half or higher. They have gone 22 overs and 15 unders, so 59.5% to the over. And the thing we have to remember is the very low numbers are doing well with unders. The very high numbers are doing well with overs because Vegas doesn't need to make an adjustment of where the line really should be. Vegas only needs to make an adjustment where they start getting enough money that those people saying 240, that's crazy, I'm automatically going to bet under. Or when the line gets so low in the NBA, people automatically say, oh, that line's so low, I'm going to bet the over. So those top totals have done well. The bottom totals have done well because, again, Vegas not having to get to what the true numbers should be, but just where they're getting equal money. I'm going to give you a couple numbers that would just keep me from betting the over, even at the opening number. When pulling up my database, when the Kings win a game this year, they're only 11 and 10 and 1 over under. So when they are competitive in the fourth quarter, they're not running down, they're playing some defense, and again, only 11 overs and 10 unders. When Washington's between the fours and you're facing an opponent like that, they're 10 and 9 over under. Sacramento 16 and 3 over under. So again, it goes to the saying when Sacramento's playing a team that they're competitive against with the lines between the fours, they're not that big over team that we see for those year to date. So those two numbers and stats, enough to keep me betting off the under and actually keep betting the over and actually leaning with the under.
All right, leaning with the under, staying away from the over in this one. Rob Vino, what do you think? You got the worst defensive efficient team here going up against the number 26 defensive efficient team here. Are we going to get a lot of points? What do you think?
Well, there's certainly been, line movement that makes you think twice at this point in time, Joe. Let me just say this. Since the return of Bradley Beal, this Washington team was a far different offense without him. I mean, I banged my head against the wall trying to play some overs without him in the lineup. Couldn't get there. But in the last 4 games, or their last 4 games, he's played 3 times. He's only taken 1 day off for rest on this in this current 4-game span. They've hit 246 and 247 in 2 of those. So that would be reason to say, Washington over. They can still get over 240, which we know they can. That includes Davis Bertans. Let's not forget about him. He was out for a while, and Beal and Bertans sort of came back simultaneously, and Washington is a complete unit at this point in time. The day off yesterday means Beal plays again. No back-to-back situation. So they're going to be there. And I'll say this, guys, they are not very far out of getting themselves into the play-in tournament. They're about a game and a half out. So I had Washington with 10.5 the other night. Granted, it was a banged-up Utah squad, but Washington fought at the end to win that game, and they just showed me something like they might want this playoff spot. Unlike other teams we've talked about that are in the bottom tier, I expect a good effort out of them. But I want to just switch this because Ralph and Teddy covered almost everything there is to say about the game total. But the first half total, I'm just going to throw a number at you. It's all the way up now to 124.5 being bet relentlessly up. Sacramento in their last 7 games hasn't gotten to 124.5 in the first half. So, an under first half might be an option here if you got gumption enough to do it. Both of these teams obviously are going to play with pace. But if Buddy Hield doesn't go, again, I mean, if you like under, you play it now because if Buddy Hield doesn't go, it's going to come down and it's going to wreck your underplay or at least take some.
That's the break your way, and now we're talking about almost 125 points in the first half alone. So that is your overtime game here, guys. Sacramento and the Wizards tonight, and that game also 10:10 Eastern time, late start for those of you on the East Coast. All right, that brings us to our buzzer beater best bet section here, guys. You know the drill, 60 seconds on the clock. Do it as you may. As long as you drop some sort of best bet in those 60 seconds, we're good. So, Teddy, you lead in point, man. Talk to us, man. Where you going with the ball tonight? Talk to us.
Oh, I don't even know it's going to take me 60 seconds to get through this one. The analysis here is real simple. So take the under on the 60 seconds for this. And Rob Vino just said it when he was talking about Washington in Utah the other night. And the Wizards are fighting to win the game. And that's all you need to know. They're in a winner is likely to cover the point spread range in Sacramento. And Washington is fighting. Washington cares. Washington is healthier now than they've been basically for the entire season. And Sacramento is still being coached by Luke Walton. I've not been impressed with anything about the Kings in recent weeks. And returning home off a miserable road trip, their playoff hopes are splattered all over. I'm not convinced at all the Kings bounce back with a victory tonight. Maybe they battle for a little while, but no Holmes, no Hield might make them better. No Holmes matters. Give me the Wiz. Nobody beats the Wiz. -2.
Wow, even busted in and nobody beats the Wiz under the buzzer. Very nice, Teddy. Very well done, man. Outstanding. All right, Ralph, you know the drill. 60 seconds, no doubts. Where are you going tonight here with the ball?
Well, reminding people on my homepage, the NBA stat sheet is loaded free daily. I started this past Monday uploading the Wager Talk first pitch, 2 full pages for every MLB game, first inning logs, 5th inning logs. It's a sheet you do want to download daily. I'm going to the Clippers and Detroit Pistons over the total. It fits a system of going over by so many points for the previous 3 games. Clippers have shot over 50% 5 straight games. And the Detroit Pistons, the Pistons have shot over 50% 4 out of 5 games. The only game they didn't was Portland on the 4th game of a 5th game road trip. Clippers, Pistons, extra 15 seconds to Rob.
Oh, he's gifting you the extra 15, but he doesn't get them. I will take that, though, to let you know. No Paul George, no Kawhi Leonard, Jeremy Grant back active, Killian Hayes back active for Detroit, if that helps you guys at all. All right, Rob, up to you, my man. 60 seconds. Go ahead. Where are you going with the ball tonight?
Well, let me say with the extra 15 seconds, let me thank Teddy for bringing up that nobody beats the Wiz. If you come from that tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, you know those commercials, nobody beats the Wiz. I like that. Listen, this is why when you go third on this show with best bets, you better bring 2, because I was about to go with Washington, Sacramento as my lead. I love Washington, so I'll back Teddy on that. Now I have to go to my backup plan, which isn't really a backup plan, because I'll just go back to that Miami-Denver game under, guys. We talked a lot about it. I'll just add a couple of quick things in the last 25 seconds here. Miami, last 2 games, as I mentioned, back to the grinding defensive style Eric Spoelstra is going to play the remainder of the year. 194 and 205 points scored. In 10 of their last 15, they've been held to 102 or less. That's 67% of the time. Half the time, they don't get to 100. I could see this being a very low-scoring game, under 209, Miami-Denver.
Oh! Now, guys, see, that's how you do it, all right? We get nobody beats the Wiz. We got Rob shows up with 4 picks in 60 seconds. Fantastic job here, guys, around the horn. We do have one more, though, for you, and I believe it's our friends from the Gold Sheet who have a best bet here tonight. And they are looking at, look at that, the New York Knicks on the road, taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. They say take the 3, and don't forget, of course, this full write-up you can catch by following us on Twitter at WagerTalk. You'll get all the Gold Sheet play of the days on all the shows posted there. So great write-up, always great information from our friends from the Gold Sheet. But they're saying back to Knicks tonight, getting to 3 points. And we'll go ahead, recap it for you if you just joined us or if you fast-forwarded, one or the other. Teddy covers going Wizards -2 here tonight. Ralph likes the Clippers Pistons over 216.5. Rob Vino, among the 23 other games he liked, he does say Heat Nuggets under 209 is a good way to go. And, of course, our friends from the Gold Sheet, Knicks +3, our contrarian game, involved the Raptors and the San Antonio Spurs. The Raptors 5.5 is the contrarian play. All 3 of these gentlemen, though, They are looking the other way, if at all, that being with the San Antonio Spurs. So, guys, make sure you hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. Make sure you head over to WagerTalk.com right now as Teddy covers, locked and loaded. Ralph Michaels ready to go tonight, as is Rob Vino. All available to you right now, those best bets at WagerTalk.com. So on behalf of Teddy, Ralph, and Rob, we'll be back again tomorrow with another edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show. In the meantime, best of luck with your plays, guys. Thanks for making us a part of your day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in WagerBucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.